We begin tonight with an effort to close the achievement gap by reducing the funding gap for education. This morning at the English High School in Jamaica Plain, Governor Baker signed the Student Opportunity Act, the first major funding adjustment for education reform in 26 years. Over the next 5 years, funding would increase by $1.5 billion. There would also be more funding for students from low-income families, language learners, and special education.
25 years ago, when this formula first got written, we really lowballed the numbers for what it costs to close opportunity gaps for English language learners and for low-income students. And those students have been living in that opportunity gap and achievement gap for the last quarter century. And this bill is really going to update that formula to make those numbers more accurate to what research tells us and best practices tell us, both in Massachusetts and across the country, is what it takes to actually close those gaps.
I live in a district that most of our schools are under-resourced. We know how critical it is that every kid will be able to get the resources they need to be able to thrive. We know that education is the lever of a lifetime, and we're finally making this investment and making it right for students.
It's not easy to pass a piece of legislation that commits the Commonwealth to $1.5 billion in additional funding over the next 7 years. But people stayed with it and they got it done, and there's no doubt that the kids here in the Commonwealth will benefit significantly from that.
I'm grateful for the legislature today. I'm grateful because they took a system from the 20th century that worked way back then and brought it into the 21st century in a funding piece. Raising funds is important. Making sure the formula works for our students is important. What this bill means is over $100 million across the state, which is roughly $1,800 more per student here in the city of Boston. It's going to allow us the opportunity to do even more and make even more advances and gains in the school department in Boston.